and welcome to WRP and WRPB Studios. You know, I'm at that age where every day I'm bombarded with, Wayne, you have to sign up for Medicare. Wayne, you have to sign up for Medicare. We get older, and when we're younger, we don't think of the things that are going to happen when we get older. So now I'm blessed to have Wes Harvin II, and you are from, let's see if I can get this right, Elder Law and Trust. Elder Law, God, you tell me. It's a long one.
It's a long one. The Estate Trust.
Oh, Estate Trust.
Estate Trust and Elder Law Firm.
This is what happens when you get older, and this is why I brought this gentleman on, so we can kind of get to some answers that we might not know, surely that I don't know and I probably need to know. So let me ask you this first. Why did you get into this?
Well, I started practicing law about 22, 23 years ago when I joined my dad. He was...
Okay.
Yep. I learned from him. He did estates and elder law work for 40-something years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then he and I practiced together for a long, long time.
So, I mean, you go to law school, which is a task in itself, and there you have to pick where you're going to go, just like as a doctor. You have to pick what you're going to practice. Did you practice this because of your dad and you've been around it, or did you practice this because it was something you wanted to practice?
Yeah, you know, it was a little bit of both. It really was. When I got into law school, I started seeing which subjects I liked and which subjects liked me.
Okay.
And I've always been okay with numbers. Not great, not great. I can't launch a missile or anything, but I can do some math. So, the tax side of this and the number side of this and everything, it was okay, and ended up working out for me.
Okay, so let's kind of break up the pieces of what you do. So what does someone who does estate work, elder work, and stuff like that, what do they do? Where's their focus?
Yeah. Well, the name of the firm is, Estates and Trusts, and that's a good place to start. Estates is when there's been a passing. And then what we do is whatever the dearly departed wants us to do. We really try to do everything possible to bring their will, their trust, their desires into life for the family still. Make sure the family's taken care of.
And I gotta believe that if you're not using an attorney, you got to be crazy, because families sometimes are crazy. Correct?
Yeah. It can get crazy, but there's a process, and we try to keep personalities out of it. We try to keep things as nice and friendly as possible, and 99% of the time, everybody gets through it, as long as you sort of start off on the right foot and start with someone that's been there before.
Well, karma has always prevailed.
Yeah, very true.
And having somebody who's professional, for lack of a better word, and I don't know if I'm using the right word, mediate the group
Sure.
is a thing. And one of my favorite terms, and I say it on almost every show, is use a professional. Use a professional. You're going to save money, you're going to save time, and you're going to save aggravation. If you don't use a professional, all those things are going to smack you right in the face.
Yeah, that's true.
So you've been doing this a long time. How has the industry changed, as you see it?
Yeah. Well, we've definitely gotten a lot more online.
Okay.
Even from 10 years ago. The technology has increased dramatically, and that's had some good things. It's made a lot of things a little bit quicker and easier, and that means cheaper for the client. On the other hand, it's made things a little bit more difficult. Sometimes we have estates or trusts where no one can find the person's passwords. No one can find the person, get into the accounts. I don't know. Mom left everything on her computer and I can't get into it, this sort of stuff. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, but for the most part, it's been a good change.
Okay, so this is a question, and it relates back to many, many industries, is when do I start thinking about going to an attorney and thinking about my estate and what moves forward?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, there's no such thing as doing it too early. You can only do it too late. It's best when people come in really before they have a need. Sometimes that's later in life. Sometimes it's only when you've got the kids and all taken care of, and now you're thinking about the grandkids. A lot of times we have people come in that are maybe in the middle of life and they have a child with either special needs. That's more and more common.
Oh yeah.
and they want to say, I want to make sure I can provide even when I'm gone. So how do I get there now? I'm not there right now. How do I get there? What tools can I use? What kind of documents can I use? I'd like to help that.
So someone comes to you and says, hey, I'm 50 or 60 or whatever, and I need to kind of think about what my future is going to be like when I'm not here and the future for my family. The first thing that comes into my mind as a novice is a will.
Sure.
Okay, so does your firm do that?
That's one of the four sort of classic tools that we got.
Okay.
Is a will, and you can put almost anything in a will. I've seen wills that gave everything to everybody with no questions. I've seen a will that said someone couldn't get any money until they read out loud the entire New Testament.
Oh.
So it can be anything in between, and that's where you start. And then we decide with the family, sort of as a team, whether you need a trust.
Okay, so before we even get to the trust section,
Sure.
Let's just talk about this will thing. So someone comes to you, wants to do their will. This is why I say you need a professional. Because now, if you go to Wes and he does your will, God forbid, when you pass, and you will, because we all do, he already knows the pieces. It's not like, hey, I went to Walmart and bought a paper and did my will.
Right.
Okay, and then it's got thrown on your lap, and then you got to make heads or tails out of it.
Yeah.
Here, at least, if you go early enough and have it prepared, then Wes is ready to take care of it, knowing what you wanted, because there was a face-to-face, and he wrote it, and it probably makes the pieces and the end result much smoother.
It really does. It really does. Almost every week, maybe every other week, I see a will that someone just downloaded from online.
Welcome to the world.
Yeah, and then they were kind of hoping that the court would recognize it. Well, there are very particular formalities, legalities that have to be observed, and I can't guarantee that will you got from wherever.com is going to be good. And I've had several occasions where I've had to throw it out, and then the family says, Dad told me I was going to get this in the will, and I have to say, well, I'm sorry, that will's no good, so now we have to go under different law.
Okay, so we got this will thing straightened out, kind of. Use a professional. It's gonna save tons of aggravation. It's tough enough when someone passes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, unlike me, okay, there are people that have money and want to start a trust. Okay. What is a trust?
A trust is, I tell clients, it's kind of like a little corporation, and the only job it has is to carry forth your wishes.
Okay.
Just like a corporation has a president, a trust has a trustee, and his job is to do, or her job is to do, whatever it is you've set forth. A lot of times people say, if something happens to me and my wife early, me and my husband, I don't want the kids to get the money when they're 17 or 18. I want maybe half at 25 or 30 and then half later. But what if there's a medical emergency? Well, we got to build that in.
Now that it's just lighting up in my mind that you're right, and I've been through medical emergencies, and if you don't have that money, it turns your whole life around. And if the money is there, you can't get to it, it makes it even worse.
That'd be even worse, yeah. Or maybe something could happen where I could leave $1 million to my daughter if I had it. Well, what if she gets to a car accident and somebody sues her? It could be gone, but we can set up a trust for her to where that money could never be touched.
Okay, so every time something comes out of your mouth, I learn something more. Okay, and I think that's like so important. In my opinion, you should just like run classes or seminars or whatever. That's something you should consider doing, or do you do it now?
We do that every month. We do at least one, if not two, free seminars for the public, and you can find those on our website. They're all over Indian River County, down into Palm Beach County, and all the way over to Okeechobee. And usually we have a pretty good attendance, and more so online these days too. A lot of people show up on Zoom.
Wow. I'm doing this 26 years. There was no Zoom when I started. I kind of started this internet broadcast stuff so many moons ago when everybody laughed at me and they said, get a real job. This is a pipe dream. Did you... well, I guess it's different for you because I always ask, when you're going into something that's long-term, like law school and stuff, do you have support of family? But I guess you did because your dad was in the same industry.
Yeah, I sure did. Yeah.
Did he want you to go into this?
He was always very careful not to push.
Okay.
But he wanted it.
Okay.
And I did too. I kind of grew up around it.
And I guess you was in a position, because you went to law school, to choose anything you wanted, and I guess you had the passion for this.
It worked out.
Okay. Technology has changed since you started.
Sure.
What do you think the future is going to be like in your industry? Do you see changes coming about?
Yeah, I think so. I think more and more and more things are going online. For example, pretty soon, almost all court proceedings are going to be online, and a lot of them are now. I think very soon a lot of tax filings and interactions with the IRS are going to be online, using biometric data. Right now you have to take your driver's license down to the IRS office. Pretty soon you'll just be able to look in your computer and it'll read your eyes.
Wow. Is it better? I mean, do you find that better, or look, for me, like people say, hey, you know what, can I Zoom in or can I Skype it? No. If you're not walking in my studio, I don't want to do the interview, because there's more to that face-to-face and that connection for me. Okay, I can get to see body language. I can kind of make heads or tails of what people are talking about, know a direction to go. I think even for you, because, per se, Mary comes in to do a will, and you can kind of see her reactions when you tell her certain points.
Yeah.
And you can help guide her better. And these are just my opinions. I think the internet and the computer is a blessing and a curse.
Sure.
I think that's always been my opinion. But again, I'm older than dirt, so it's really different. Okay, who's your clientele?
Clientele, on a normal week, I might see like 2 weeks ago, for example, I can just run down the list. I had a young lady come in who had been very successful with real estate. She was trying to set up a series of trusts for her kids and her husband's kids, who were not yet U.S. citizens, but in that process. So we had to take into account her successful business and also planning for non-U.S. citizens. An hour later, I meet with someone who's 90 years old and trying to set up a trust for their great-grandkids. And then 2 hours later, I meet with 60-year-old kids whose dad is starting to need memory care.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It really goes the whole gamut of where you need to be. And I'm going to guess now, because times are different, a lot of entrepreneurs, okay?
Yeah.
And they become entrepreneurs at 21, 25, 30.
Sure.
My life, I've been on my deathbed 3 times. Life turns on a dime.
That's true.
Okay? So preparing earlier is going to stop a lot of aggravation later, in my opinion. I was blessed. My mom, she's going to be 90 actually this month.
Oh.
But she was sharp. She got long-term care.
Very good.
And she got pre-need.
Very good.
Okay? So when my dad passed away, it was a simple thing. It gave us time to grieve, and everything was prepared.
Good.
I think the same thing goes for what you do. I think a will, though it's etched in stone after you're gone,
Right.
it's not etched in stone until you're gone.
That's right.
So if you can do it at 22, at 24, at 27, you can change it. And when you get kids at 30, you can change it again.
You can change it again and again. That's right.
Okay, so I personally think it's now become clear to me that it's important to have that prep work done, because doing it later seems to be that it can become a nightmare.
It really can, especially for we South Florida citizens, because so many of us have family in other states, and maybe even a condo in another state or a home. And then dealing with one state law when there's been a family passing is bad enough, but sometimes you have to deal with 2. But with a little bit of pre-planning, we can make that all a lot easier and a lot cheaper.
You know, guys, I got to tell you, because we're going to the top of our time, it's so important to be prepared, because that makes your life so much easier moving forward. And most of us will think, oh, wow, I don't need it. Or, I'll worry about a funeral when I die, okay?
Sure.
being prepared always makes things easier.
It does.
You know, people talk about attorneys that are in PI, personal injury.
Mm-hmm.
God forbid you have an accident and you need an attorney. What are they doing? They're going to the yellow page. Well, there's no more yellow pages. I'm
Yeah,
old.
right.
They're going through the computer and just picking anybody.
Anybody.
Okay?
Sure.
It's time to do some research. You know, I brought Wes on because he can give you some of the answers that you need. And I guess if you're doing seminars, you can just go to your website. I'm sure they're all listed on your website.
They're on the website, and then after every seminar, we always have a question and answer session, so you can come on and get general info, and then grab me afterwards for anything in specific. Hopefully we can help you out.
Okay, what's the website?
It is etelf.com.
And it's on the screen. I guess that's estate, trust.
That's right. Elder Law Firm.
Yeah,
that's it.
I really need it in front of me. I can barely remember for 5 minutes. I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank you for disseminating such information that I think is so important to people. Check them out. You have a phone number at your office?
Yep, we've got a phone number at the office. It is 772-828-2588.
And it'll be on the screen anyway. Wes, I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you, sir.
Everybody have a great day. Check them out, and we'll be right back.